Welcome to the hotline for today, Friday, the 6th January 2023. So good to be with you today. Thank you so much. We know you have choices. We're very happy when you come here. This is the hotline. Thank you, listeners. Wow. Today, well, what time is it? 9:10. I understand that the board of the Transport Authority is scheduled to have a meeting this morning as a result of some matters arising in relation to the appointment of a new managing director. The need for a new managing director at the Transport Authority has arisen because the former managing director of the Transport Authority, Willard Hilton, I understand that his contract ended and he opted not to renew. I do understand that there are reports in the media that his time with the Transport Authority has come to an end because of a resignation in December. But I've been made to understand that it is not a resignation, but an end to the contract and a decision not to renew. You may recall that Willard Hilton, there was information mid-2022 that he'd resigned in or around June of 2022. And at the time, he cited poor leadership from the Office of the General Manager for Operations as one of the reasons for his then indication that he was resigning in mid-2022. You may also recall seeing articles that a number of people in the transport sector, including bus and taxi operators, they were not happy with his expressed desire in June of 2022 because they described him as the best managing director the authority has seen. Right? In one of the articles that was published, Willard Hilton, then managing director, expressed these criticisms of management. The fact is that over time I have developed an abhorrence for laziness, incompetence, and excuses from some persons, especially in the leadership positions at the authority, as this places additional responsibilities on other leaders who have to double up on the duties that they are being called upon to perform. I remain firm in my view that every single employee, barring none, should be treated equally and be held to the same standards of performance and accountability. It is evident that this does not sit well with a few of my managers who choose to take their dissatisfaction with this position to the highest level of the Ministry of Transport and Mining and elsewhere in the public. For any organization to fully transform, it requires fresh and new thinking, firstly from those who lead. Sadly, what exists in the mindset of some leaders at the authority, in my view, represents remnants of our colonial past, which oftentimes get in the way of the realization of the vision of the Transport Authority, and by extension the sector. I have given it my best shot. So, he didn't move on his June 2022 expressed intention to resign, but I've been made to understand, on whatever basis his term with the Transport Authority ended in December, either for end of contract and opting not to renew, or a resignation on which he acted. So the vacancy being created by his departure necessitated an interview process for his replacement. The process, I understand, for the replacement of the managing director had two components. The interested applicants needed to do a presentation based on a case study that was related to matters that could arise at the authority. And then there was an interview. So there are two components to the position. And the board, which is constituted of heavyweight people, a lot of known people who've given service, I understand. Joseph Shakir chairs the board, but I think E.G. Hunter of NWA is on it. The head of the Universal Service Fund, Daniel Dawes, there's a member of the public sector, the PSC, Public Service Commission, and several other members on the board. So from my understanding, the process for the selection of the managing director was an absolutely wall-to-wall, robust process. I understand at the end of the interview, each interviewee was given a score. And based on the score, obviously, people are ranked for their performance in the interview. So the Western Regional Office Manager, Ralston Smith, I understand, came out with about 80.4%. Philip Chambers, 70.2%. Petra Keane Williams, 66%. There's a Vernon Walters who's also inside because he's general manager of management information systems at the authority at the moment. He was fourth based on the ranking in the interviews. There are about 8 interviewees, but I think of some importance is Ronald Anderson, who is a general manager of operations, and the person whom you heard the former managing director cite in the former managing director's view as exhibiting poor leadership in the office of general manager for operations. Ronald Anderson had the second to last highest score in the interview. So only one person scored less than him in the interview. One of the things I'm trying to understand is what weight was attached to the interview versus the case study component, which constituted the presentation that the applicants had to do to the board. So there are two components. We know the percentage of the interview that each of the interviewees got, but I do not know what weight was attached to the presentation for case study. But what we are now made to understand is that Minister Audley Shaw, who has responsibility for transport, it appears that Minister Shaw desires Ronald Anderson, the present General Manager for Operations, to be the person to succeed Willard Hilton. And it also appears that irrespective of the ranking in the interviews, the desire is to have Ronald Anderson parachuted to the position of Managing Director. And so, I understand that a letter was written to the board indicating something of that sort. The board has not been favorable in its response to this letter from the minister, and has rightly been pushing back. I do not understand the basis on which such a thought could enter Minister Shaw's mind. And even if the thought entered your mind, why would you go put it on paper and send to the Transport Authority, especially understand that they have the legislative remit to do what they're doing, which is to appoint and employ on such terms and conditions as the authority thinks fit a managing director and others for the proper carrying out of the provisions of the law, because there's a Transport Authority Act. And I think we are seeing, based on what I've heard, is a revolt by the board of the Transport Authority against the desires of Minister Shaw. I tried to make contact with Minister Shaw this morning. I haven't been successful, but I think we need to hear from Minister Shaw. And something has to happen. I've been made to understand that the Prime Minister is aware of the attempt at interfering in the proper functioning of the Transport Authority in its statutory role in selecting a managing director. I have not been made to understand what the Prime Minister has done, but the Prime Minister needs to make us understand what he has done. The board of the Transport Authority is meeting very soon, this morning, and frankly, I think the board needs to issue some statement to the public to explain the reason for the meeting, the chronology of events, and the outcome of this meeting that they're having now. Yeah? It is not lost on me that there are many instances in which a minister may, for policy reasons, may believe that there are people who can literally humbug the policy directives of the administration, because there are people who do that. I completely get it. But one of the ways in which we will, over time, clean up our system is ensuring that The policy directors do not get the chance to pick and choose who they want, especially when a body is set up with the statutory authority to do some things. So that what used to happen and continues to happen to some degree is that you have some entities where once government change, everybody in the entity have to change because they were almost literal plants of an administration. So you don't get the level of continuity that you really want for organizations to function properly. And we cannot continue like this. Already the governing party has a massive role in the selection of board members. They pick people who are sympathetic to their cause, which is why there is a policy tabled by Nigel Clark to changing that process so that the people of Jamaica can be serviced in ways that we have not been properly serviced since our political independence. And that's why the peopling of the board with people of impeccable integrity is so crucial, so that you stare down a minister who wants to overstep his ministerial responsibility and literally handpick somebody he wants for whatever reason, irrespective of how the person performs and irrespective of the person's competence vis-a-vis other people who are in the race. So let me just tell the Transport Authority, this is not a private matter now with you and your board members. This is a high level of accountability, and I can understand that you are in an awfully difficult position because here's your line minister to whom you report and against whom you have to be pushing back. But rest assured that you are doing the absolutely right thing. And especially because as a statutory body, you really report to the parliament, i.e. to the people. I expect a report from you with, as I said, a full background to what has happened, the discussions in the meeting. Take good minutes and give us the details. And head of the cabinet, primus inter pares, Prime Minister, let us know, now that you know, what have you done? We're on to it. This is the hotline. Thank you, listeners. Well, this is interesting. You should know, based on what I didn't say, what I didn't read, that I do not have a copy of the letter in my possession. But I note now it is getting curiouser and curiouser. I've now been made to understand that it is a chief accounting officer in the ministry who wrote to the minister, who wrote to the chairman of the board, purporting to write on behalf of the minister, requesting the chairman of the board to halt the decision to appoint a new managing director until February, at which time it is expected that a new board is to be appointed. And this is interesting. So it looks to me as if the Prime Minister is about to shuffle out Mr. Shaw out of the cabinet or out of that ministry. Because that is the only basis on which a new board is expected to come into play in February. And if a request is made, I need to call this person. If a request is made by this person to ask the chairman of the board to halt or to hold on to the appointment until February, is it that the expectation and the hope is that the new board would still parachute the general manager of operations into the position of managing director? This is something else. In the break, we will make a call to the person who we understand has signed this letter, and which letter was delivered to the chairman of the board of the Transport Authority. Because this chief accounting officer will need to explain to us the basis on which such a request has been made to the Transport Authority, and shows the statutory authority for making such a request. Right. This is the hotline, 876-926-2178, 926-8631, 926-7615, and 1-888-991-2080. Why would a cabinet reshuffle cause you to want to delay the appointment? Why? There's a vacancy now. Where are we? 6th of January. Oh, this is Capitol Day in the United States, that insurrection in the Capitol building. What a dreadful thing that was. But it's 6th of January. At least 1 month before any such thing can happen. What's the reason for the desire for the delay in appointing a managing director when the process is complete? What are we missing? Right. 876-926-2178, 926-8631, 926-7615, and 1-888-991-2080. 2178 8631. Morning.
Pipi Nipu Ipier. Mrs. Shields.
Well, Apo. Colopum. Tulupu Dilipi Halapat Lina Pine.
You know, Mrs. Shields, I enjoy your X and Y so much.
Wait.
And
this is who? This is Frank?
Yes.
Frank from Virginia.
You didn't know that I know Gypsy, yeah?
It's good to know that. I didn't think you enjoyed X and Y.
Yes, I do.
Oh.
I do remember, this is the Hemily show,
Yes, the Hemily. A hem we a hem it up, yeah? That's what you gave it the name. I cannot forget. Happy New Year. It's good to hear you.
Happy New Year, Mrs. Shields.
Yeah.
So sometimes anytime I hear people say something wrong,
mm-hmm.
I always remember you, because
Is
you're
it?
always You know, like they say the words and it's not so, right? I say, I know Mrs. Shields is listening.
It's so funny. I used to do this when I was a little girl. My mom would always, say you're always walking around and correcting people. Oh,
Yeah,
dear.
well.
Yes. Yes, so everything all right up there?
Yes, everything good, you know. Everything good.
I see your Congress is about to implode.
Yeah, there's a lot of drama going on up here. You know, so even last time when I heard when I heard they said that 11 time they vote
11 votes.
and this man can't get it. So I say, why doesn't this man pack up his things and go home?
Well, when you think about it, what they're doing is delaying whatever legislative agenda Biden has. And I don't even know what is on the cards anyway until very later on this year. But what they certainly want to, this is the other thing it is delaying. These Republicans, they intend to do two things. One, to have some investigation into Hunter Biden. So they're going to spend the next couple months when a speaker is chosen looking at every picture from Hunter Biden and try to connect it to Joe. And then they also want to investigate Anthony Fauci. Yeah? They want to investigate Fauci with this whole COVID matter. So their delay is literally delaying those partisan political things that they want to have a look at. But come, I think, later in the year when you have your money bill and all those things, Congress is going to need to be fully up and functional so that you don't have a lockdown. Yeah? It's a sick space, you know. That Washington, very sick. So too London. When you look at what's going on in Westminster, it's dreadful. Yeah, it's like the whole world is in confusion at this time, you know. Yeah, but I have 2 minutes before I go to the cats and the dogs. What you want to tell me? Yes. You know, it's mainly that, you know, it's a gypsy, you know. Because, you know, Jamaica is a small place, but we do things differently because I never know. I never hear about the lullaby and so forth. You know, I know. You know, your version of it. I know the one that I learned now is like you put a P to everything. Like you would say, where are you going? You say, whoop here, a par, you pull. Yes.
Go po ping.
I know that one.
So
go buy a pile.
When it comes to Gypsy, you are multilingual then?
I would be multilingual. First is English, then is Jamaican Creole, and then is Gypsy. Yeah?
Yeah.
Take care. Thank you for the call, Frank.
Right.
Up on a break. Thank you. We're back with you on the hotline, listeners. All right. I see the cats and the dogs are not coming here today. So we shall stay with the other animals. The higher level animals. 876-926-2178. This is the hotline. Good morning. What is going on with this line, DT? Every time I open 2178, I'm getting dial tone. And yesterday it wouldn't let Comrade through. Keep doing that. 2178. Look at this 76152. Hi, toll free morning.
This is Wagwan.
Wagwan walking shop.
Me there out of one place so I cut one gutter. Me line up on the pig pen.
Ha! So you're not deal with goat again?
So machines do be a big, you know, but I'm sure that they name the to me,
You're done with goat?
No, me man, me can't manage the 2 foot them, you know, ma.
So they're not thief hog?
Yes, but he has, no, let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you something straight, you see?
Yeah.
Remember saying, you see, man, you see pick a pepper, man?
The what?
Pick a pepper. You see, man, the boy pick a pepper.
Pick a pepper?
Yes, they make pick a pepper.
Pepper sauce?
Yes, remember saying, not tell nobody in secret, you know, ma.
Yes.
And KFC, not tell nobody in secret, you know.
Ah.
So remember saying, no, me not tell nobody in secret, you know, ma.
Your secret for what? For raise hog?
Me can't tell you upon the ear, me still, me not going to tell you off the ear, because me can't tell you make nobody hear, ma.
For raise hog?
Yes, ma.
They not go on market to sell it?
Yes, but me no sort of market, ma.
Oh.
You want girl out to come and listen in Johnny's, no matter how much pick me have, me take them, because me lucky with pig, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Before 7 months, you know, I want to 200 pounds, you know.
Really?
Yeah, me I tell you the truth. Any man can tell you.
So you feed them bag food or peeling skin?
Me get all type of thing, man. White cocoa bush. Me have some bread in the hand, me man, then can feed it for all about pound give me, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, man, but a long time, I never raised none, but me go forward back.
Oh, well, all the best to you. So you build up the penny yesterday?
Me live on a billion now, man. Remember, say, oh, me never tell you. Me did tell you somebody say, me up now and woodland and cut some post.
Oh. Then why you use make the bottom? A concrete or a source of dirt?
Me can put in the bottom, me tell you, no, me still, me not so slight, you know, man.
Me know, because you about 250 pounds.
Concrete, yeah, use, man.
Yes, you have to use concrete so you can wash it out with jizz.
Yes, ma'am.
When you're ready.
And that me I go do.
Mm-hmm.
But me I want virgin, me I want bonafide virgin, you know, I tell me, say, boy, you hear me cry, you know, but who know, if the road did there, and that's how you make black, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, he make black. He say if the road then good, man, he that's some piece of black phone, give me like a sana, he that help me out, but you know, road not definitely stuck to no, you know.
Oh.
Yeah, man, the road no good.
Then if road no good, how you go get the hog out? How you go get the hog if you go sell it? Me not understand.
Me get market the feet me still. Whole pass stop yourself transport, man.
Oh, so you just cut it up little and carry it, or push it on wheelbarrow?
You can't take donkey carry around for the clinic road there, so man. Let me tell you, one chap me right to me sit down here now, you know.
One what?
Where a Poroka road, but you know, cut.
Yes.
But if you like me kill the hog right here, so now you can just put it on the mule or the donkey and take up on the health center road.
They don't have inspector come down there?
Yes, man, the inspector, then they don't kill all beef, so they don't inspector take it.
Then kill beef or then kill cow?
Then kill cow, man. Yes, man, then kill cow.
Kill cow while you get beef, and then can't kill the beef.
Yes, man, because you want butter supporter come and you know one that suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, so then kill cow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm glad to hear. I can't wait to see this again. Then you better mind you eat out the profit.
No, me not eat the profit, me see. No, man. Sometimes you have to tie up your belly, you know, man, everything you can. Sometimes you have to tie your belly, you know, you can have one chicken on your mouth one time, sometimes. Hungry with you, you have to cook the half pound with food, photo and thing, you know.
Then for your belly tie up?
Then sometimes you have to tie your belly, man, you can lift your leg for something to go along, so. Sometimes you have to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. So, imagine I say if you road is good in the health, you know, so I'm not so slight, you know, me still.
Me know.
You know, so slight, man, me can drop two black or something, but no road, no, they have to eat the material, come give it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look some post or use some zinc or something.
Mm-hmm.
All line up, you know. Cut some old some and beat them out.
Yes.
All line up, you know.
Well, good to hear that. Let me know how it goes. Happy pig farming.
Yeah, man. Take care, Miss Steve. All the best.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah, man. Take care, Miss Steve. All right.
Take care. 8631. Good morning.
Good morning.
East Central?
Hello? Good morning, Miss Emily.
How are you?
I'm doing fine, man.
Good to have
I
you.
know, so I have 2 minutes. Have you got to call you back? God, no, my listeners say, your pass. Man, I know I'm not do it, no.
What you say?
My listeners say, I left your pass. I know I'm not do it, no.
Them say what? You left me what?
I left your pass.
A pass?
I not left you no time at all. They say I left your pass.
Okay. Did you get the
Yeah, the gentleman to tell you thanks for the present. Elderly, hotline for the elderly.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, man.
Beautiful.
I'm listening right now.
Beautiful.
It's a garden.
And thank you so much for stepping in the gap to pick up.
Yeah, man. You know, me can do my little thing.
Yes.
We did have some question that come from the criminal fear, you know, but if me open the question them right now, you're not going to be able to answer them, you know.
Can't answer them
you
time.
can't touch right now, because me don't have the time. I may have to go call you back to deal with criminal matters. Me can brief upon it still, you know. Can I brief upon it?
Yes, you have 2 minutes.
We can brief upon it.
In fact, me have some papers I may go through. Me want to read them to so talk fast.
Yeah.
Talk fast.
Yeah.
Talk fast. I mean, name Burner girl.
Yeah, man, we understand. In criminal affairs, how many matters are before the circuit in one session, and whether, beside the amount of courtroom you have, beside the amount of prosecutor, beside the amount of judges and administration staff, is it practical and likely to get through all those matters in one session?
No, absolutely not. It depends. I couldn't tell you. Like the other day I saw, I think I spoke about it here, that a judge in Trelawney, I believe it was, who goes down for circuit, lamented that the list for the term was so much longer than what he'd been accustomed to for years upon years gone by, and it was just not possible to dispose of them. There were hundreds of matters on the list for the term,
Okay.
and just couldn't happen. So the carryover would be great. So every parish would be different.
Yeah, I understand, because in St. Anne you have about 70 cases, in St. Anne, in Westmoreland you probably have about 150 cases, in Trelawney you have 100, and all of that. So
Yeah.
with all the work what the prosecutor has to do, he has to prepare court documents, he has to prepare all different type of things,
Yeah.
Mr. Melly.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Melly, I have some whole heap of questions. I call you back now. Because I have to come out today and my listeners them.
Call me back and me
prepare
see if you get through. Little more.
Okay, cool.
Wait till it come more. Thank you. Well, remember now that I'd made reference to some letters that resignation letters. Make we wait, because we need to get this person. We need to get this person because it is so crucial. Let me take 876-926-2178 for a minute. 7615. Hello, morning. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
You're on the hotline. I've got a minute with you. Who am I
Hello.
talking to? This is the hotline. Morning.
Good morning.
Hi, who is this?
A bird cup, man.
Bird Cup.
Same
Happy New Year, man.
to you, man. Same to you. I call you this morning to tell you.
It's so good to hear you. I've got 45 seconds with you now. Everything okay?
Yeah, man, yeah. We just want to just wish you a happy and prosperous New Year, you know?
Oh, brilliant.
And I hope you and your family, everybody all right. You
God
know?
has been
and
good
the
to
rest of
us.
people are here.
Yes, thank you ever so much. And same to you and your family. I know you lost your wife and everything, but, you
Yeah.
know, keep heart.
And all right, still right now, you know?
You know, you're all right.
That's the back what we used to do.
Which is what?
You don't know, we not tell you on the radio, man.
You do road.
Eh?
You do road, you know.
No, man.
Oh.
I have a trade when we used to...
All right, good. Glad to hear is a trade. Thank you so much. God bless you. I've got to go.
One day me call you.
Take
privately
care.
and tell you.
All right, Bird Cove, take it easy. Thank you. Headlines time. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. So at this moment, the Transport Authority board should be meeting. Chairman is Joseph Shakir. Interesting that the managing director, whoever it ends up being, will have a place on the board. Mr. Richard DePass, Stanford Stewart, Catherine Williams, Shernette Sampson, Mr. Daniel Dawes, Mrs. Natalie Miranda, Mrs. Maxine Beseso, E.G. Hunter, Howard Deers, Mr. Alden Brown, ACP Gary McKenzie, Salim Lazarus. These are all the members of the current board of the Transport Authority now meeting. Well, want to stay on this a bit more. Remember, I read some extracts of the letter from the former managing director, Willard Hilton, about the reasons for his expressed intention in June of 2022, his intention to resign. And one of the reasons he stated, frankly, I'd love to talk with Ronald Anderson as well, General Manager of Operations, who has been the subject of unflattering comments by Willard Hilton in Willard Hilton's letter. He says, Willard Hilton, in a letter to the then acting permanent secretary, Dr. Janine Dawkins, I have grown extremely disappointed by the poor quality of leadership coming from the office of the General Manager for Operations, who seems to believe that as a General Manager, his role is not to take responsibility but to blame someone else for the many failures or shortcomings of this high office he holds. Over the years, the transportation landscape has become very dynamic. There remains a great need to generate new strategic objectives that will lead to increased public order, public awareness, and compliance, while deepening stakeholder involvement that can enable the authority to influence government policies that will help to shape a new landscape for public transportation in the country. As a member of the senior management team, the general manager's posture is one that simply awaits instructions to issue to his subjects. This cannot be the way forward for a department that is responsible for 20% of the organization's output. Please bear in mind that as his immediate supervisor, I've had several sessions to coach, mentor, counsel, and reason with the general manager with less than desirable results. And the letter continues. But I'm going to join now the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Transport, Dr. Alwyn Hales. Dr. Hales, so good to have you on the hotline.
Yes, good morning.
Morning and
happy to be here.
Happy New Year to you. Good to have you.
Same to you.
You are aware of the issues surrounding the Transport Authority at the moment?
Yes.
And your awareness stems from what?
Well, just by way of background, a few months ago, the previous managing director had tendered his resignation, citing several concerns. Then I was advised that it was withdrawn, and then finally, I think his contract ended. The board of directors decided to appoint somebody to act in the interim while they went out for the recruitment of the new managing director. By way of a letter that was sent by the chairman to the minister, I recognize that somebody was recommended by the minister, which on the recruitment exercise did not perform up to the standard required based on the assessment of the panelists. And the chairman advised the minister that beginning today, he is putting a new managing director in place. So I wrote a letter to the chairman, just advising him of the process and of that I would like, as the accounting officer and the permanent secretary, to just review the process, because in the interim we have seen a number of comments coming in and concerns being expressed by persons. Nevertheless, we have a fiduciary and statutory responsibility to review the process to ensure that the the process was in keeping with the requirement, and also that the appointment, the contract itself, meets the guidelines of the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service. So I think they're having a board meeting today to discuss that letter, and following on that, we will hear the outcome of it.
Okay.
In the interim, I've heard of, things in the media about clash or discrepancy between the minister and the chairman.
Yes.
And in that the minister is insisting that they employs somebody of his choice, while the chairman or the board has taken a course that is different from that that was proposed by the minister.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, in a nutshell, that is my that is the information I have. I'm awaiting the response to the letter, and then we'll see how we go from here.
All right. So let's just go back a little bit for my understanding. So you said so Willard Hilton resigned. His contract came to an end and he didn't renew. This was in December of 2022. Yeah?
Right.
The board decided to appoint someone to act.
Right.
Who is that person?
He was the manager of the finance division. I don't remember his name offhand.
Okay. So
but he's currently acting, yes.
Manager of finance division.
I learned that recently, by the way, because for some reason does not always communicate with the parent ministry very well. And, I really should know.
Yes.
Who is acting at all times.
Yes.
And so the relationship between the board and the ministry has not been as good as it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And in that regard, the board has, on many occasions, the chairman acted without necessarily informing the ministry. Even when the resignation of Mr. Hilton was withdrawn, we weren't aware of it. I had to call in Mr. Hilton to find out what is happening. I had to call in the chairman to find out what is happening. So the communication has not been very good.
Right. So the person who is a manager of finance division who was appointed acting.
He was acting, right.
It's not an appointment. Yes.
It's an acting pending a recruitment process.
Right. So was he one of the 8 people interviewed by the board for replacing Willard Hilton, from your understanding?
No. Well, the board actually interviewed 7 persons.
7? Okay.
So he was shortlisted 8 and 1 person withdrawn.
And he was not one of them.
By my understanding, he was not one of them. I'm not sure if he was an applicant because there were several applicants who were not shortlisted.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you mentioned that there's a letter from the chairman to the minister on the recruitment exercise.
Right.
And this letter was about, when was it sent?
This letter came to the minister on Monday. It was dated the 30th of December, but it was received by the minister on Monday.
This is the 2nd of January 2023?
It would have been the 2nd of January, yes.
This is by email?
It came, I'm not sure it's by email, but I saw the original of the letter. And the minister showed it to me, and basically all he said to me was that he needs my advice. I must consult with and give him my advice. That's all he said. He has never said anything that to me about insisting that the panel be overturned or anything like that.
Yes.
Because I know he relies heavily on my advice.
Okay. So
I would only advise him in accordance with government procedure.
And
because whatever we create in the ministry is a matter of record that is going to be seen by the Auditor General and the Ministry of Finance and any other bodies that regulate and monitor what goes on in the ministry and its agencies.
Right. So the essence of the letter from the chairman of the board, and that is Joseph Shakir, right?
Joseph Shakir, yes.
The essence of that letter, which you saw on the 2nd of January when the minister handed it to you.
No, I saw it on the 3rd.
You saw it on the 3rd. It was dated the 2nd of January, though, yeah?
It was dated the 30th of December.
30th of December, but you saw it on the 3rd. Okay.
I saw it on the 3rd of January. Basically, so I would have been learning the new managing director is coming on board on the 6th of January.
That's today?
That's today, yes.
And did they say who the new MD is to be?
Yes.
Who is that?
It's a Mr. Smith. I don't remember if it's Ransford, but a Mr. Smith.
It's a Ralston.
Ralston Smith, yes.
Right. And this Ralston Smith, is he the same person who is the Western Regional Office Manager?
Well, I think substantively he's the Western Regional Office Manager. He was also appointed to act at some stage in the Northern Region as well.
Right. So as a result of the minister handing that letter to you and asking you to advise him, you then did what?
Well, having read the letter, first of all, I was taken aback in the sense that all of this happened at the authority, and an appointment would have been decided by unanimously, and the ministry did not get a chance to carry out its responsibility in terms of reviewing and setting the contract. So I wrote to the managing director, to the chairman, observing and outlining the process, and which are creatures of policies, and that he delayed the appointment, delayed the assumption of duty, and allowed the ministry to get a chance to review. And I requested some documents, which included the draft contract document, the resume of the shortlisted, the application of the shortlisted person. And I have already got the document, the score of the scores allocated by the panelists. And I also spoke, as a result of that, I also spoke to the chairman. The chairman was expressing concern when I spoke to him about imposition of a person on the board. And I told him, no. That's not how we operate in the ministry. And there's nothing about any imposition. I am intervening in order to ensure that the ministry does its review and basically endorse endorse or otherwise the decision of the board.
Your letter is dated when?
My letter is dated. I'm not in office right now. I think my letter is either the 3rd or the 4th.
Of January.
Today is the 6th. Yes. I think it's dated either the 3rd or the 4th. I don't have the date offhand.
Just hold a moment.
And I spoke to the chairman before I sent the letter.
I heard. All right. Just hold on a moment. We'll come back from this break. Dr. Alwyn Hale, Permanent Secretary in Transport. Back in a moment. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline talking with the Permanent Secretary in Transport Ministry, Dr. Alwyn Hale, who has just outlined and filled out some crucial details in the sequence of events leading now to a meeting of the Board of the Transport Authority, this surrounding the appointment of a new managing director to replace Willard Hilton, whose contract came to an end in December of 2022 and who did not renew or seek to renew that contract. So, Dr. Hales, in that 3rd or 4th of January letter, you're telling us that you asked the chairman of the Transport Authority Board, Mr. Shakir, to delay the assumption of office of the person that the board chose.
Right.
And I understand you asked him to delay it until sometime in February of 2023?
Delayed for a month, yes.
What's the magic of the month that you ask for the delay? What's the reason for that time period?
is the time that I think we would need to. As I said, the ministry needs to do the to review. But remember, at the end of the day, the letter is a matter of record.
Yes, I understand that.
Something that can be, but to review the process and the contract itself.
Can you please send me a copy of that letter?
Sure.
And did you state in it that you expect a cabinet reshuffle to take place by February? I'm so sorry, I don't know what happened. We lost Dr. Hales. We're going to reconnect with him. So let me pull back some things I said in my earlier commentary based on better information now available. Because we now have confirmation, and I did say this when I came back from the break, we now have confirmation from the permanent secretary that the letter to the chairman of the board of the Transport Authority in relation to the appointment of a new managing director is a letter that was penned by the permanent secretary and sent to the chairman. So the minister is not the person who wrote the letter. Yes, sorry about that, Dr. Hales. We lost you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you mention in your letter to the chairman something about a cabinet reshuffle?
No.
Did you mention that you expect a new board to be in place in February?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And
I hear a lot of rumors circulating, but no.
That's fine. Now, we don't have any interest in the rumors, so I'm happy we have you here and that you're going to send the letter and we can see what's there.
Sure.
This letter that you wrote on the 3rd or the 4th of January, did you discuss the contents of the letter with the minister who asked for your advice before you sent the letter to the chairman of the board?
No, but I did accompany the minister.
And how did you copy it? Did you send it by email or send it by hard copy to the minister?
The minister would have received a hard copy at the day after. The chairman got it initially by email, and also we sent it to the office of the Transport Authority through the acting managing director.
Right. And then now, the basis on which you say you wrote to the chairman to ask him to delay the process is...
Well, it's not delay the process per se, but the assumption of duty.
Yes. On what statutory basis does the permanent secretary act in requesting such a delay of the board of the Transport Authority? What gives you the power in law to do that?
The power to do that stems from several policies and also documents that we would have, and also based on historical review by the Auditor General and other governing bodies. It's not an exercise of power, though, because the board can refuse to do so.
No.
Mr. Shukir told me that.
No, I understand what the board can do. What I'm trying to understand from you as the chief accounting officer, and I thank you for making yourself available.
Mm-hmm.
The policy that you're saying gives you the power to act.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the law that empowers any minister to make such a policy to give the permanent secretary that power to act? Because I don't think you have any power unless there's a power given to you in law. Can you point me to a section in the Transport Authority Act, for example, that gives you that power? Do you know of it?
No, the Transport Authority Act wouldn't give the permanent secretary any power. The only thing that the permanent secretary was named in the act as an ex officio member of the board, which with that which by policy that is not even implemented anymore.
Yes.
So the Transport Authority Act doesn't give the permanent secretary any power. The Transport Authority Act says that the authority can appoint anybody that is fit and at whatever remuneration is fit to carry out the duties.
Mm-hmm.
But you have the Public Bodies Management and Accountability Act.
Yes.
Overall general guideline in terms of how we go about doing these things. And also the Ministry of Finance has guidelines about the contractual provision for the appointment of heads of agencies. Now, I must tell you, we have had issues in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Because of poorly written contracts that we had either terminated persons and the authority end up have to pay them to the end of the contract,
mm-hmm.
or having difficulty terminating persons. There was even one instance where somebody was appointed, received their letter of appointment, and before the person even assumed duty, there was either a change of mind or whatever it happened, and consequently it resulted in a lawsuit that cost the Transport Authority. So it's really exercising a responsibility as accounting officer of the Ministry of Transport and Mines to ensure that we do not enter into situations that could end up costing the government and end up also costing the Transport Authority. So we don't have a line in the Transport Authority Act that says, but as I said, we have Public Bodies Management and Accountability Act,
mm-hmm.
we have Corporate Governance Framework, and we also have the general responsibility as accounting officer to ensure that whatever any entity within the ministry is doing, it is done in accordance with due process and in accordance with the policies that exist.
Did you, in your 3rd or 4th of January letter to the chairman of the board,
mm-hmm.
set out, as you have told me, your overall management of what goes on based on the statutes that you do, corporate governance framework?
No, I did not go into those details, no.
Right. And you mentioned that there could be issues with the contract, which I understand, and there are certain...
I'm not saying that. I didn't say that there could be issues with this contract, but generally speaking, we vet contracts of MDs. The ministry vet those contracts.
Before the contracts are signed by the intended recipient.
And if we have an issue, we write to the Ministry of Finance, outline that this entity is about to enter into a contract. This entity, we have concerns about so-and-so, and with this person, and the Ministry of Finance may respond. And if indeed the contract is, there are instances where we may even have to write to the Attorney General of the party just to take a look at the contract.
Right.
So it's not usually a rush thing, and normally you interview, and usually, but because the person is internal, I guess you can transition, and the person could even have been sent to act pending the conclusion of the recruitment process. So it is somewhat unusual that you would have done the interview and immediately drift into an appointment without the ministry even being aware. I understand, Mr. Shakir is very clear in his interpretation of the Transport Authority Act, that the board does not have, as far as he's concerned, the board doesn't have to comply with anything from the permanent secretary, and the board doesn't have to inform the permanent secretary of anything, and they do what they do, but they are part of a ministry.
Yes.
And there are responsibilities that falls on the permanent secretary.
So Mr. Shakir has been the chairman of this board for how long now?
6 years.
And all that you're telling me, where the Transport Authority, the board functions within the remit of the Transport Authority Act, but there are wider statutory provisions that would give permanent secretaries, superintendents, override what goes on. Some kind.
Yes.
Did you ever outline this to this chairman who has been there for 6 years to guide him?
every chairman has to attend what we call some kind of a workshop. Every chairman is provided with all of the documents
Yes.
that that pertains, and all of the ministry finance circulars that pertain. And at the start of their tenure, board members are invited to a seminar or workshop. We have with a presenter from Ministry of Finance, presenter from any other relevant body that would present to them, their duties, their responsibilities, as far as assuming that role in the organization is concerned.
So in your view, how would you describe the action of this board in taking the decision to appoint Mr. Ralston Smith to the position effective today, and in writing to the minister to indicate to him their decision without you, the permanent secretary, knowing about it? How would you describe that?
I would find it highly irregular and highly unusual, to say the least. And not only indicating to the minister, but advising the minister that that they are prepared. The chairman, in the last line of the letter, says that he can have his resignation. So,
who can have whose resignation?
The minister can have the chairman's resignation. That's what he said to the minister in that letter.
In the December 30th letter?
Yes.
Have his resignation for what?
If he does not agree with the decision of the board.
But how did that arise?
It did not have to come to this, as I said. If he was having an issue with the minister, in terms of, if it is that the minister was insisting, and I'm not so aware, that they put an individual in there, call the permanent secretary, have a little discussion, I could easily have dispelled that, and with a conversation with the minister. It's not how we do it. The board has a statutory responsibility. There are processes, and if there's a problem with anybody that the board has selected, it has to be dealt with in a transparent manner. There's nothing wrong with a minister recommending, but at the end of the day, it's the board's responsibility.
Just hold on a moment. The permanent secretary in the Transport Minister, Dr. Alwyn Hales. A lot of things are being said here, listeners. Let's just take a break. Come back with you in a moment. We're back with you on the hotline, listeners. This is becoming, as I said, curiouser and curiouser. We're hearing from the permanent secretary that not only did the current chairman of the board of the Transport Authority write to Minister Shaw in a letter dated the 30th of December 2022 and inform him that Ralston Smith is to be made the managing director of the Transport Authority as at today's date, the 6th of January 2023. But we're also being told that in that letter, the chairman of the board, Mr. Joseph Shukir, told the minister that if he does not agree with the decision to appoint Ralston Smith, then the minister can have his, that is Joseph Shukir's, resignation from the board. So Dr. Hales, is it that do you understand that Mr. Shaw preferred and expressed a desire to have Ronald Anderson as the managing director of the Transport Authority at any point in time?
Well, I was not aware of that preference. I only surmised it from Mr. Shukir's letter.
What in the letter made you surmise that?
Because Mr. Shukir in his letter said that they are not in agreement with the recommendation for the minister or whatever they have determined by the recruitment process. Mm-hmm. By virtue of that, they don't agree with the recommendation from the minister, and therefore, and that was where he mentioned the thing about the resignation. So on inquiry, I surmised that. But as I said, we operate in the ministry based on due process, and our recommendation to act actually was what Mr. Shukir said in the letter. there might have been a recommendation to act.
Recommendation by whom, for whom to act?
No, the implication of Mr. Shukir's letter was that the minister might have recommended that Mr. Anderson act as managing director.
Oh.
I see the word act in the letter. So
you have that letter there with you?
No, I don't have it here with me. As I said, I'm out in the country. I'm speaking to you from
that's fine. Yes.
On location. I am visiting a site in the country right now.
Yeah. So when you wrote your letter on the 3rd or the 4th of January and requested the draft contract documents, application of the people shortlisted, and you also spoke with the chairman, did you not ask him in what form, in what medium did the minister make the recommendation for Ronald Anderson to act?
No, I did not ask him about that. I did not go into the Ronald Anderson thing, because to my mind it is, I did not want to go into that. I just wanted to ensure, based on the document that was supplied to me, that the process was fair, and that the ministry would be in a position to give it no objection, and they can proceed to do the appointment.
Yes. I see a section in the law that says the minister may, after consultation with the chairman, give the authority directions of a general character as to the policy to be followed in the performance of its functions in relation to matters appearing to him to concern the public interest. But I don't know that it takes away from the statutory power given to the authority to appoint and the whole general framework that you're going to. But I cite that to say, why wouldn't you as permanent secretary even be so concerned as to say to the chairman, this thing of a recommendation that you have spoken about in your letter coming from the minister, can you give me some more information about when and in what form this information came from the minister to you?
I just didn't do that, and I hear you, and it may well have, in hindsight, been something that I might have done, but I didn't.
Yes, and in the time that this
and I don't want to cloud the issue with that, because, as I said, a process I've been entered into in accordance with the Transport Authority Act, yes. And I am just wanting to ensure that all the I's and the T's are dotted and crossed, and that we can move forward.
But you being an ex officio member of the board, does that mean that you don't sit?
No, I don't sit on the board. We permanent secretary don't sit on board anymore by virtue of government policy. And over which they have
superintendents.
Now, we should have gone through and changed all of laws, and I think they were being changed, or changes have been drafted. It is not even clear to me whether the one for the Transport Authority, because we just amended the Act recently to be in sync with the Road Traffic Act, whether that change was made. So we do have I do have a representative on the board, but I don't sit as a member. Who
is your representative on the board?
My representative on the board is my director of project, is Shernette Sampson.
Shernette Sampson. So, didn't Shernette Sampson inform you of the process of interviews taking place?
Shernette wasn't a member of the panel. No, the decision of the board. First of all, you must remember, as I said, it happened suddenly. I didn't have a chance to have any discussion whatsoever with Ms. Thompson. And indeed, with persons in the ministry. I only had discussion with the chairman, having seen the letter that he had sent to the minister.
So you say Ms. Sampson, who is the permanent secretary's representative on the board, was not a part of the interviewing panel for the seven people?
No, man, no. Yes, she wasn't a part of the panel. There was a panel that comprised of 4 board members and 1 person from the Office of the Services Commission.
So it's not the full board that did that?
No, the full board wouldn't do the panel. They would appoint a panel of interviewers.
Okay.
Which normally would have some members from the board, maybe somebody from HR, but in this instance, I think the HR manager was also a candidate. And also, if, the ministry is kept in the loop, the ministry would have recommended also that a representative from the ministry be a part of the panel.
Yes.
But there was no rep from the ministry and the panel.
But when did you come into knowledge that this process was taking place? The interviewing?
I did not know what was happening until I saw the letter from the ministry.
Oh.
I mean the letter from the chairman to the minister.
Yes.
And maybe I should have known, because there are other provisions in the Public Bodies Management and Accountability Act and so forth about board minutes being sent to the PS on a regular basis, and also that the PS be kept informed of what is happening in the entity.
Were you sent those minutes?
I have not checked on that yet. I have a unit that monitors the receipt of minutes from the various entities, so I have not had a chance to check whether the minutes of the Transport Authority Board, the one that made the decision to appoint, I would not have seen that. And I didn't ask for it in the letter because I said it might delay the process, because the board just made the decision, and it could be weeks before the minutes are prepared.
So from where you sit, the minister himself, do you say that there was any attempt at ministerial interference in the appointment of a managing director at the transport?
I would not say that. I am not saying that the minister might not have made a recommendation, and the board acted. The board considered the recommendation, and indeed included, whether it's because of the recommendation or not, they included the candidate because the person applied as any other candidate in the shortlist. Nothing is wrong with the minister making such a recommendation. And the minister may even express concern about a candidate, which he has not, based on information that he may have. It could be security information, it could be other kind of information. There are, for instance, requirements that public officers at certain levels should not be politically active. It doesn't mean you can't have a political view, but if you are a member of a political organization, for instance, and you're active, then it compromises your position as a head or leader of an agency. Other things like these can crop up, and I have been around now from 1996 as permanent secretary, and for transport from 1998, and I've seen instances and times when, unfortunately, a minister may fail to act because of the politics of the situation. I remember we recruited an MD for an agency, and although the person apparently was of the same persuasion of the minister said he has to express he was not willing to support it because it might appear as if he's planting his person in there. And it did not go through. It did not, that appointment on that occasion didn't go through.
Yes.
But we do have all kind of situations.
Interesting. I need a couple more minutes with your PS. Let me call you right back after the headlines. There are a couple more questions I must ask, and we thank you so much. We'll call you back. It's headlines time. Permanent Secretary in Transport, Joseph Shakir, we're going to need to talk to you. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. We are on to the developments in the Transport Ministry, particularly related to the Transport Authority. And we are rejoining the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Transport, Dr. Alwyn Hales. Dr. Hales?
Yes.
I find it a bit strange that you say you were sort of taken by surprise with the I suppose the speed and the course of action of the board in how they've gone about appointing and notifying the minister of the appointment of somebody who is to commence acting today by their letter to the minister. One, you knew a critical post was vacant, right? This managing director post.
Yes.
Because you must have known that the contract of Willard Hilton would come to an end in December.
Yes.
And am I not correct that this is a position that has to be advertised?
Well, it should be advertised, yes. Best practice would indicate that it is advertised.
And it was advertised in October and November of last year.
Yes.
And I think the applicants were given until about the 8th of November to put in their applications.
Yes.
And so, is it also the practice that after the applications go in, a decision will be made within 6 to 8 weeks for the replacement or the filling of that position?
Well, the time period, it depends. But I would not be specific on the time period.
But the period I stated would not be unrealistic?
Wouldn't be unrealistic, no.
Right. So if you knew all of those things, why did you not anticipate that the board would be seeking to carry out its statutory mandate to fill the position of managing director?
Of course, I'm fully aware that the board will be seeking to carry out its statutory mandate.
So how were you taken by surprise with them acting according to that mandate?
Because they have not advised me of it. They have not kept me in the loop. As the accounting officer, as I said, there are certain things that is done at the ministry level, and we were not kept in the loop where that is concerned.
And your board representative, Shernette Sampson, you said, did not inform you about what was happening on the board in relation to filling the post of managing director?
No.
Have you since had word with her as to why you didn't get those briefings?
No.
Why not?
And in fairness to her, that's not necessarily her role. But no, I have not had any discussion with her on that.
So now that you have written to the chairman to ask the chairman to stay the assumption of the duty of Ralston Smith, and the chairman, you said, verbally pushed back, expressing his concern imposition.
No, not since he got the letter. I spoke to him before I sent the letter.
Yes.
And I think his pushing back was maybe a presumption or an assumption that I was trying to convince him to act otherwise than what was determined by the board and in the recruitment, which I assured him I was not.
What is it that you said to him that would cause him to form that presumption?
Well, I simply said to him that I'll be writing him a letter I expressed my concern about not being advised what was happening, and that I'll be writing him a letter to request some information, and also to delay the assumption of duties. And he simply said to me, yes. And he asked, what if the board can refuse to do this? And I said, I said, well, I am not legal advisor for the board. You can determine that.
So, that being said orally, and then you sent the letter to him, did he respond to your letter at all?
No, I haven't had a response to the letter.
So, you know the board is meeting now.
Yes.
Is your representative of the board at that meeting?
I don't know.
Why not?
I just don't know. I don't normally check on attendees at board meetings. I would expect that she is, because my representative, their attendance record is normally very good. And I would imagine all the members. It's short notice, but to the extent that they're available, then the members will be there. It's an important meeting, and I think she's there.
Hold on a second. Hold on again. Let me just take a quick break. Back with you in a moment. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. So, what happens now if the board says to you, Dr. Hales, as permanent secretary, our appointment of Ralston Smith stands?
If the board says that to me, then the appointment stands.
Do you understand that they have already written to Ralston Smith, indicating that he is the selectee? Dr. Hales?
Okay.
Your line is breaking just a little bit. Is it your understanding that they have written to the selectee, Ralston Smith, indicating to him that he is the appointee? I think your line went a bit funny just now because you did say you are...
I have not said.
I'm so sorry. We'll just reconnect. I did try to reach Minister Shaw this morning, and I didn't get Minister Shaw. But his permanent secretary in his ministry has given us the sequence of events in this. Dr. Hales, thank you so much for rejoining us. What happens, you say? Are you aware as to whether Ralston Smith has been notified that he is the appointee for the managing director position?
I am not aware, no.
And you say if you were to receive a letter today from the board to say they're going forward?
If I were to receive a letter from the board to say they are going forward, then they go forward, and whatever consequence arises from that arises. And I'm not going to speculate now. We are talking about a public servant who has given over 27 years service to the authority. Are you there?
Yes, I'm hearing you, Dr. Hales.
Yes. So I'm not going to speculate, and I expect that the ministry will still go through with its check, and everything may pan out, and it's fine. There may be issues that arise. I do not know, and I do not want to speculate on any issue that may arise. But if the board decides I'm going forward with it, and then they go forward with it.
Yeah.
And if any issue arises, then we'll deal with it as time goes by.
But what of the issue that you highlighted, which is this sort of lacuna, this gap between the board and the ministry, where you don't seem to be aware as to what the board is doing, even though you have statutory superintendents over what goes on at the board, though they also have the power under the Transport Authority Act to do some things. What are your concerns with that, and what you're going to do about it?
When statutory bodies are established, one of the things was to enable them to have the power and the autonomy to take decisions and to act without having the intervention of ministries at every juncture. Over time, protocols have been established as to how the body relates to the ministry, and simply copy letters, for instance, to plus, and among other things that can keep the ministry in the loop. As you said, the ministry have a responsibility for superintendents, and we exercise the responsibility based on the information that is on hand. And as we become aware of something, we'd rather be proactive rather than reactive, but in some instances, you end up having to react.
Right. Well, information just coming to hand, Dr. Hales. The meeting has ended with the Board of the Transport Authority, and it is my best information that the appointment stands.
Okay. You mean the appointment beginning today stands?
Yes.
So the board will communicate that to me, which means that come Monday morning, I am communicating with a new managing director, and the ministry will have to take. And as far as this process is concerned, but the ministry is still doing its due diligence in terms of the process.
Yes.
And the contract itself that is being that would have been signed between the chairman of the board and the applicant.
All right. Thank you.
I must point out, however,
yes,
in closing, that a number of attempts have been made by personnel, whether from the authority or otherwise, to tarnish the minister as being, interfering and also failure to carry out responsibilities that should have been carried out. I'd have seen that from the outgoing MP. I don't think it is fair. I think the minister relies a lot on us in the ministry for doing some of the administrative activities and for advice. And I would not encourage persons to take too seriously some of the attempts that have been made to sully the reputation or the actions of the ministry, the minister, and the ministry plays a very strong hand in the interaction between the authority and the minister.
And you, as permanent secretary, you don't think you are being used by the minister to carry out the wishes of the minister?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, great.
All the best to you, permanent secretary in the Ministry of Transport, Dr. Alwyn Hale. Massive developments, listeners. 11:25 a.m., the Ministry of Transport, its chief accounting officer, at some kind of loggerhead with the board of the Transport Authority, an entity which falls under the ministry. And I can tell you now that coming out of the meeting, which ended about 4 or 5 minutes ago, where the Transport Authority Board convened as a result of this letter sent by the permanent secretary to the chairman of the board, asking the chairman of the board and the board to delay the assumption of duty of the intended managing director, Ralston Smith, until sometime in February. The board has acted in absolute revolt against this request of the permanent secretary, and I understand that based on a unanimous vote of all the members present, not the entire composition of the board, as I understand that only E.G. Hunter was not present, but all 10 board members present voted unanimously to confirm the appointment of Ralston Smith, who is the Western Regional Office Manager at the moment of the Transport Authority. He is to be confirmed in the position of Managing Director, and the wishes of the permanent secretary have been completely disregarded. The board is of the view that it has done what it needs to do. It has the statutory mandate, and it will not look behind any request from the permanent secretary. We can see as well, based on what the permanent secretary just told us, that there is a standoff of some sort between the current chairman, Joseph Shakir, and the Minister of Transport, Audley Shaw. This as from a letter sent by the chairman of the Transport Authority, the board, Joseph Shakir, dated the 30th of December 2022, to Minister Shaw, advising him that Ralston Smith is to be installed as the new managing director as of today, the 6th of January 2023. Mr. Shakir said in the letter that he is prepared to tender his resignation if Mr. Audley Shaw, as minister, does not agree with the board's intention. And it appears from that letter, according to the permanent secretary, that Mr. Shaw, as minister, recommended, either orally or in writing, but in a medium unknown now, Mr. Shaw recommended to Mr. Shakir that Ronald Anderson, it appears, that he should be appointed to act as managing director for some undisclosed period of time. So we do not know. But you heard the permanent secretary completely dismiss any designation that there has been ministerial interference in what has happened. He said that when the minister received the letter from the board chairman on or around the 2nd of January, the minister passed the letter on to him as permanent secretary for his advice and guidance, after which, on or around the 3rd or the 4th of January, he, Dr. Alwyn Hales, decided to write a letter to Joseph Shakir, chairman of the Transport Authority Board, and to ask him to halt the assumption of duty and to request a number of papers. He said at the time he made those requests in writing, he'd not spoken with the minister to indicate to the minister his course of conduct. Joseph Shakir, we want to hear from you. This is a hotline. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. Right? What a drama. What a drama. So today is the 6th of January. I understand that Ralston Smith, the man who will become the managing director of Transport Authority, is to take up his appointment on Monday, the 9th of January. He starts then because the board has just met and there was unanimity in the decision of the board to go forward with the appointment. I've been made to understand that the letter to Ralston Smith will go off today confirming his appointment, and a letter to Dr. Hales rebuffing his request will also go back to him as permanent secretary today. And that's how things have turned. This is the hotline, 876-926-2178. Hello, morning.
Church sister.
Church sister.
Wagwan, Happy New Year.
Thank you, same to you, my dear.
Happy New Year from my family to your family.
Yes.
Yes, tomorrow going to be Derek Will's birthday. Happy birthday to you, my love.
You had the whole of it sitting pan Almanac down there.
I'm glad you know that. I'm glad you know that. I'm glad you know that.
Mm-hmm.
Happy New Year to you, my Prime Minister. Kick up your foot, kick up your foot, kick up your foot. The most expensive boots, yeah, and the best name shoes you wear. Yeah, Mr. Andy, so Happy New Year and to the police force. A happy birthday to the superintendent of police of Hanover here, Miss B. Foot. Happy your birthday today too. Happy birthday to you, ma'am. And to the nice police them. Happy New Year to foreign. Happy New Year to Jamaica. And Happy New Year to this beautiful parish Hanover. Let me tell you something now, church sister.
Yeah.
I want to go on with the tour there. Listen to me now, Prime Minister. You're not going on no tour with the Ardisha. Because you had Mr. Warmington in your party. One of babies help to try not take up this not take up this story with Mr. Hardisha. Because that man have no behavior we have got in your parliament in there. And you not take him up.
I don't feel
Remember
parliament.
me tell you.
I don't feel parliament. I feel parliament. I feel. But you don't hear the permanent secretary said Minister Shaw don't know nothing. You never hear him.
Then what you went for say? How you went report for say? No, all the short tour you went to come for.
Yes, well,
Like you went say.
yes, but I tell you,
Prime Minister, hold on.
Yeah.
Holy, holy, holy. Lord God Almighty.
Lord bro God.
Early in the morning, my song shall rise to thee. The man said, holy, holy, holy.
Holy, but it clean.
Mercy. Oh, God, oh, mother. Oh, man. Hey, we can't answer that song for try to be able to come back before so wait.
You didn't hear that one, that your sister? Holy, but it clean.
He have done ya. There's many things happen after Paris, you know. I remember one time one man named from Kingston come down and he Willie, you know. And he find one woman down there, you know. When he find the woman down here, you know. Guess what? The woman gets pregnant, the man God. When they ask him what they pick the name the last name, when he go to hospital, he said they pick the name Sasha Gay Willie. That's why the man here William. Hey, me say when they pick about 15 years old, when the man come back down there, they have to go do the whole change the pick the name because the man don't hear no Willie, they pick the name William. I'm gonna be surprised.
You think of me parish alone, have them as something here.
You think I joke, man? One time one pastor go for a pulpit and when they go for a pulpit, they preach down there, they preach. The woman, no. Preach about your yard, hear the man is your wife.
I said Jonah swallowed the whale.
And
I said Jonah swallowed the whale. Churches that said, Pastor, it's not Jonah swallowed the whale, it's the whale swallowed. All I know is some swallowing was going on. Yes, sir. So holy.
Brother Jerry, Happy New Year, Mr. Mullins. Happy New Year to each and every one. You know who birthday me no know after Johnny. Me no know when she in born.
I think it's October, you know.
October Johnny born. And Daniel no born either, come in and know when him born.
Just
like how Mr. Handison they hide for him date of birth. You know when he born? I never know that man birthday all know. Me know Sophie husband born the 10th of April.
Not the 10th.
Me know all of them since.
Not the 10th.
It's when?
Me not tell you. You're supposed to know.
Me book me got in my book, me tell him birthday all the while. No worry yourself, I'll go see man.
That you're hot though, you're hot.
That's right.
You're close.
No worry yourself, me have in the book. When you want born, you born the 29th October. So nobody else in someone is born the 3rd of July. See them, me have everything there. No worry yourself. So I know Mr. Handis, no one tell nobody he is because he's so sexy. Somebody called me last night and tell me some man the bar radio. So hear me now, too much man because whatever Mr. Coon. Because Mr. Coon is the other man. I'm trying. Happy New Year to each and every church is in Jamaica. And I'm going to talk soon, Happy New Year, West Jamaica, each and every one. Happy New Year, Christian Fellowship. First time when we go to church, sister, you're baptized. The first thing they give you when you baptize our. How is she gone?
Me I hear you, me I try remember, because I baptized already.
So when you this baptized in a church first time, what they give you?
When you come out of the water?
When you go to church, what they give you?
A communion?
When you come out of the water, close, they give you. Cannot dove now come on for your head.
Then put towel
Only
around you.
Jesus alone dove when come on for your head. When you baptize and come in a church first time, you get one Bible and one hymnal.
Oh.
Now, as you go in a church now, and money they say you pick your home, then your Bible and hymnal, and nobody now read Bible again.
Oh.
And I look on the church now. So many churches in Jamaica. And who no need to go take up crime too. Because the only thing when they preach now, who to get rich, and who to carry in how much money, when the sermon is so start now. And when to beg money that they part the long, we don't need to stop it.
How which church you go?
Me dey talk
You got the wrong
church.
church. You got the wrong church.
Me dey go.
Oh.
Online church. Me not going to no church. Me done with going to church building because me clear that so. Because guess what? No one in your church so the only thing they do now they drop foot pie, you know. And you know, remember them out of church. And that's what they go on now.
What the pastor preach for you say?
Preach for me. Nobody can preach for me because everybody know already. No tourist around to me malice you.
If what?
I mean, I have another secret. You think I joke? If you're around to me malice you.
No.
You see me the walk tell lie?
You love keep up malice.
Tell me I tell you.
No.
I go one church in a West Malland and I roll river one mother. You the mother Jesus Christ. Hey, such a nice church. So funky,
Such a nice what? Such a nice what?
Such a nice girl. Oh,
That I-
funky, Jesus. Hey.
That are you? That are you she a talk about?
When me walk up, I think I tell me.
Nice girl, 350 pound. 350 pound. Give her two seats. She cannot roll on one chair.
Me the panda ya. Me well they good and nice thing.
Me
and
sure.
they work out.
Where you
What me
reach
say,
now?
they lift up things. I didn't like now me they lift up and they have more things. Hey!
One block at a
Mr.
time.
Handy, yeah, you know, really nice. Really nice, Mr. Handy. Hey, I am looking fine down here, boy.
You're a real gully bapalos off of Mr. Anderson. Every day you come here and talk about the commissioner.
Mr. Anderson,
Hey.
I love Mr. Anderson, man.
Me see.
When I look on the gentleman now that overall suit there, Jesus God, precious memories, how they linger, hallelujah, how they ever flood my soul. Mr. Anderson, good morning. Hey, sister, they really have some nice policemen in the post, you know.
In
Them
the
really-
stillness of the midnight.
Church sister, yeah, me hear you the first paternity leave yesterday. What a wickedness.
Which part?
If I were, when me went have my daughter, what me say, the daughter side I said, you know, we wear nappy. I still up the nappy, then put on till he come to work at night.
You do what?
And you want to tell me, you know, at this time me don't get paternity, I mean, I have nothing to collect. Hey, me say the people must wear nappy 36 months. Me say very good because you don't wash them. Me never wash a nappy. He shall wash them. And he wash them, you know. Me only spread them out a morning.
Yes, then you have to wash them.
Eh?
Then if you wash them, it's
He
good.
wash nappy and he couldn't wash. Good on them white.
They when they tell me something, George, is that when him a wash his hand, I go scrub.
Stop.
No.
Me say, wash, man. Hey, me say, wash on the morning time. The people in believe me they wash. Wash where?
And him use all blue. Him use blue on them.
Me say when he put the glue and when he put this habit, and none of the tell why one of them baby used to use them and I blue sitting in them again. What is it? I remember that one day when he put in the water. Man, one night so when he close them print what are the people that say, oh, you can wash them with you. I mean, after that, me do it, but we can't tell Lord.
Yes, sir.
Then I give them no, leave no. And he want to get it, but he can't get it again.
Yes.
Oh, God.
No,
Hey.
I want a recommendation. Say the man must spend time with the pitney.
Then
Can
you
you
go
go-
no church sister.
Eh?
All the man them want to get 3 pit now one year. I hold that paternity part don't go.
Them can't get it. All of them can't get it. You never hear the minister. You can get three. You ain't.
Pit now 1 year sister.
You can't get it.
Hey, I see that what this here. Mr. Be careful, because I don't want any bankruptcy, because you is doing a good work and you shall never come down.
But if you get the 3 in a 1 year, him can't get no more in his lifetime.
Oh!
Only
that's
3.
So different.
Yes, 3, you're limited to 3.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to show some document that you are really the father of this child.
That's crazy, father of this child. One time one man go for embassy for Adonia, you know. And when he go to the tree, he said 99.9, none of them are not feeling dropped on dead, you know. You know what? Listen, because of behave yourself, because of why you say something.
Him just play a tree.
Then when I see the man, the thing
People dead. We have to go away. Dead. All right, church sister. Meditation and news time. Good afternoon, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. Welcome to those who are just joining us. It's Friday. Time now for X and Y for yeah. Yep.
I wonder why it's Friday.
As opposed to what?
Huh?
As opposed to what other day?
Boil day.
Boil day? You want pay for roast and boil?
No, that's a fry and boil.
Pay for roast and boil. You ever hear that yet?
Mm-hmm.
What that mean?
Well, in my case, a country, it was some serious beating.
Serious beating you get. You go pay for roast and boil. You wheel up.
Yes, roast and boil.
Now when you wheel up, you can't ball, you know. The things of your parents have it easy. You cannot ball. Them say, where you ball for? Shut up your mouth.
I'm going to give something for ball.
I'm going to give...
No, them wicked. That was wickedness, you know.
Crazy.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
And they're so
what
angry
abuse
when
that was.
Yes. So angry. We can't talk about abuse.
Yeah. You have to suppress the ball.
Yeah. But seen and not heard.
Man. So, we're going down to NHC, you said, no? But you can't say that in a gypsy. We're going to collect our money.
Willie P. Alapa, Golopo, Kalapa, Lekepe, Willie P. Molopo, Ninipi.
I don't hear anything.
Collect.
Yeah.
By the way, as you say collect, you remember when we used to have to use...
Collect call?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you have to call through the operator. I'd like to make a call, please.
Oh, Lord.
And they say, how would you like to make it? You say collect. And you hear the person on the other line. When they dial the person's number, you give them the number, they dial it. And the person pick up the phone. I have a collect call from Emily Crooks in Jamaica.
Will you accept the
Will
charge?
you accept the... You hear no?
Oh, gosh.
That
No,
little
sir.
Emily Crooks did no.
Yeah, take a call now for Emily at all. Not
No.
taking the charge.
Emily Shields dial straight now. Straight.
Oh, man.
WhatsApp call. Kill you. Yeah.
All right, so the collection of the money is kind of easy. There's no bureaucracy and all that, eh?
Which one?
The NHT thing.
No, it's no online and it's quite easy.
Yeah. So get rid of all that. By the way,
I just tried applying online, you know, but they never asked me too much questions, so I don't know if I do it right.
Oh.
No. All them ask you is for
But-
date of
but-
birth
but
and
if
some
it-
questions, and then it tells you that if you have a mortgage, then it's going to be applied to the mortgage, and if you want to start over,
Yes,
and
so-
just exit.
So that means you did it correctly. If no further questions were asked. Right.
See.
Talking about bureaucracy, there's a question I want to ask you. How do bureaucrats wrap their gifts?
How do bureaucrats wrap their gifts?
I know you like to calculate and work and
Yeah.
decipher and figure.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. How do
Bureaucrats wrap their gifts in what way? How? With what? With what? With what do they wrap their gifts? Let me stay to the what,
With
as
what?
opposed to how.
Something turns on the bureau? Something turns on the bureau?
You mean the bureau? A bureau did call it art.
That article of furniture?
No, what is now the
bureau,
dresser?
we call it. Used to call it bureau.
Bureau.
So I wonder if something turns on that for you. For your question. How do bureaus wrap their gifts?
No, with what?
With what?
Yeah, I put it with what?
Oh. Red tape.
Of course.
Thank you, Jillian.
It's a simple thing.
Red tape. Thank God I don't tape measure.
Whole par red tape.
Red
Yeah,
tape.
whole heap of red tape.
And a red thread, you know.
Red tape. Just tape up it.
Red thread, a different something.
Huh?
Red thread. You know what red thread for?
What is it?
You must know.
Red thread? Red thread
Yeah.
or thread?
With a thread.
Oh, all right.
But
The
you
same
just
one where you
did.
put nine needle.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what red thread for?
So even if you are tread carefully, you are still tread.
Yes. You know what the red thread was used for in the country?
No.
Never put red thread palm in the forehead.
Oh, for run duppy?
Run duppy. I open Bible to Psalm
Well, Psalm 23.
or some Psalm. Run duppy.
Imagine that. That was how the value of the Bible was seen.
Or tie
open up.
tape measure around your waist. If your husband dead, tie tape measure
What
around your
about
waist.
what about if your wife dead?
You plant her.
How them plant her? You remember?
Put bare needle on her foot.
There are some other things that were done, you know. You remember the giving of the fad and put a fad in the coffin?
I heard about it.
Right, so remember you can't get no change from a fad, you know. So when they put that in the coffin and say, go and go buy fish. Go and see, go buy fish. And wait for your change.
Oh, God. That coming like send the fool a little further. That's not right.
But the person is dead.
That's not
Doesn't know a
right.
thing. But they put the fad in the coffin and say, go and go buy some fish at sea and wait for your change. You can't get no change from the fad because not lower than that. Not no higher than that at the lowest.
So the wife, they out at sea.
I wait for change.
What a shame. You did play that something they send the fool a little further?
Used to.
People did wicked, you know. Adults were really cruel. Because they really did it. Tell us how the game was played for those who don't know it. And Pitney in those days were really obedient, you know.
No, but the fool a little further was usually on April 1.
Yeah, April 1.
Yes.
So what they did, they literally wrote on a piece of paper that they folded and gave to the child and told the child never to read it.
Mm-hmm.
And the adult send you, carry this go give Miss Jane. And Miss Jane reads it. Send the fool a little further. And she fold it back and said, carry go give Miss Mary. And you walk 5, 6, 7 miles and everybody else said you're somewhere. And the child is so obedient, the child does not read what is on the paper. You think them can do it nowadays, Pitney? They would have get so cardboard box.
Well, they didn't do it to me, and they wouldn't have.
No, they never did that. Or suppose it's the children who couldn't read.
I was so fast, I think I would have looked to see what's written there.
Yes. Them couldn't from the first one and the person send me. Me I look.
Yeah, look. Even though maybe I couldn't spell.
You don't have to spell if you can't read. You can't read, then you must can spell.
No, man, me used to get A in a spelling, you know.
A?
Yeah.
Upside down A? What do you mean A?
No, yeah, me get.
Boy, you say you can't spell.
Oh, well, that's right.
Oh, you get A for spell?
Well, I know. Yes, for spelling.
You get A for spelling or you get A for spell?
No, I get A for spelling.
Spell A.
A.
Did you forget A for spelling or you can't spell?
No, then it's a simple thing. There there is no A in spelling.
Then can ask if it spell A.
No, the word spelling has no A.
Oh, Jesus.
So that's why I couldn't spell.
Oh, God. I cannot manage. Now, my brother is telling me about the matching stick in the head. What was that for again?
Well, I'm not quite sure what the match stick was for.
Not if run up it too? I just thought it's probably when you're forgetful. Don't remember.
No, well, I don't know if there was any real reason for keeping the matchstick.
I think there was something, because there's an old man who was around me. Yeah.
My great-grandmother used to have matching stick in her head. But...
oh, Denise is telling me it's for hiccup. They may not
so hold on now.
beat your back.
His baby have hiccup.
Some adults get it to them, say, I grow.
You mean
need to drink water.
You mean like when you reach out 60, somebody's will start grow again then?
You still have hiccup?
Well, that kind of wonder if I'm going to start get some hiccups.
In fact, in the country we called it hiccup.
Yeah.
It's a very long I, hiccup.
I don't know, hiccup.
No.
Hiccup.
But Tracy's telling me that the matching stick was to also run duppy.
Oh.
A whole heap of duppy we did have a country, you know.
Well, we know about the horseshoe. We know about the sulfur.
What's the horseshoe for?
They put it on the door.
Oh,
yes, they get a horseshoe and put it on the door, the front door, right at the top. They nail it. Yeah.
We never had any horseshoe.
Well, there was a lot of superstition around in those days, you know. All kinds of things people were afraid of. And they have all kind of remedy and all kinds of way of dealing with it.
Good old days, though. Beautiful days. Yeah? Beautiful days back in then. Everybody telling me now about the things that them used to use to run duppy. Tape measure go up on the front door to run duppy at night time. Tape measure. So, if Spice think this is new, then...
Tape measure at night?
Yeah. To run duppy. Oh, well. Or, the other thing we used to do, wear your shirt inside out. Put your shirt on wrong side.
Yeah, we hear about the wrong side shirt. Yes.
And then if you went to a funeral, you wouldn't, when you get home, you wouldn't walk straight in. You would have walked back way, going to your yard.
Turn your roll.
You never had that?
And turn your roll.
Yeah.
you know the turn your roll? Spin your, yeah. Full circle.
That sound like a Miss Lucy thing. The revivalist. Spin your roll.
I've never even said spin.
Turn your
roll.
Well. Those were the good old days. Ruru says white thread or black thread on the baby forehead.
That's a hiccup, man.
That's why I said
hiccup.
But the red thread of a duppy.
There's a thing I want to ask you now. Why they say save for rainy day? I mean, I understand what it means in that, you save for a time when it is most needed. But why they couldn't use something else? Why they use rainy day to signify when you need it most?
Could be sunny. Sunny days are good days.
You know, could I say, save for when sun upon you?
Sun that means shine, mean brightness. But then we say bleaky. Now we know bleaky is not a word.
No, but usually when rain fall, you can't go get anything.
But that's the point.
No, but you can't use it. So in other words, you save it, but how you going to use it when the rain fall? Because you can't go buy stuff.
No, so the intention is that you have it in your house and you can go out in the difficult conditions to buy. Yeah,
but when it's sunny, it's easier for you to go out and use it.
I get what you're saying. It's a sort of twisted thing. Erica is reminding me, do you remember chemise?
Yes.
And you remember they used to put the baby in what chemise as well to run the duppy? What color?
No, but the chemise wasn't to run duppy.
The color too. The color
was what was used? Like what? The red one?
Red.
Well, everything red was said to run Duppy.
Everything red.
And some people still consider it an insult to wear red to a funeral.
Where? In 2022?
2020,
No,
to them you consider.
2023. No, so them people here miss wear anything go a funeral. We should do something.
I say, some people still think that you shouldn't wear red to a funeral. Yes.
No, so them a style when me see people are wearing now, no colors barred, no sometimes it's something them short, and everybody have in a Remy with 400-meter eyelash and fingernail and new boot, and it's a whole splash.
A fashion show now, eh?
Nothing is off limits now. But anyway, you can write down all of your garments for running your duppies away. Maybe next week we shall return to that. That's X and Y. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. It's amazing the number of people who listen to this program and who love X and Y, which is something that was sort of organically created so I could interact with DT during the program. So those of you who don't know, the X is really the chromosomal makeup of every single one of us. So usually the mother gives an X. If the father gives an X, and it's two X's, and that creates a girl. So the father has X and Y chromosomes, the mother has X and X. So the mother will always give an X, and the father will either give an X or a Y. So the mother gives an X and the father gives a Y, that's a boy. But because we have boy and girl, then I call it X and Y. That's my chromosomal madness behind it. 2178, good afternoon. This is the hotline. Hello.
Hello.
Kuya.
You hear? Funny, are the bigger better network made the pan yesterday, you know? So you jump too quick.
Look here.
I made the pan yesterday.
There's a gentleman on the side of a road that I stop and get some green banana or ripe banana and planting sometimes. Every single time I stop there, the people them ask me for you. This morning, them said to me, say, Comrade couldn't get through yesterday. Him need a new phone.
No, man, a brand new phone, man. Pan the bigger, better network.
Me tell them say a credit you want.
No, I never want no credit. I the straight one, man, pan.
Good to hear you, though. Happy New Year.
Good to hear. So, them can't talk, man. So, me go in a mega mart, which they know. Me here. Comrade, I want the regular listeners still. The man have his wife beside him, you know. The man have his wife beside him. And now tell me now, they tell you, say, you want him to say my husband. Let me listen to him.
Complete the sentence before you tell me what you're telling.
He want to meet you. Me must tell him want to meet you. Me never hear about me yet, man. You see this program, if you didn't hear about me. You have your wife beside you, me mash up your life, man. You know the people, they come and stay inside. So I'm here to go, man. I don't listen to you again.
May I pull out your turnpipe?
Look, you never talk about me last. Me said, don't listen to you again, man. Don't listen just like you, me not like. Don't listen to you again.
Them no know say you love me like a world without end, me I tell you.
World without end. You know, you must say one and only. Okay.
Good to hear you.
Good to hear you.
Yes.
Happy New Year. All the best to you and your family.
Thank you. And
for 2023.
Same to you.
How are your sisters? How are your sisters?
Very well. Very well.
I remember on a certain occasion I spoke. I think it was two sisters, one in Eastern Caribbean and one was somewhere else.
Yes, in England.
Okay. So they're okay?
Yes, thank you.
Good.
And my brothers too, yes.
Oh, them can't. Me only interested in the sister them. So one drop off her head, drop on her shoulder.
You see, the brother who came before me were absolutely inseparable. Everybody has Emily and Tracy. Emily and Tracy. Tracy is his name. Nobody ramp with me.
Miss Crooks, I find it strange that you didn't know that the pensioners them never get any increase long before Shiny stepped away from this world. I don't know how that fly over your head.
No, I don't know. Because you see, the thing about the pension as well, you see, when you cut everything away, the pension, the payments that somebody get now is determined by the contribution they made whilst they were in active work.
Yeah, we know that.
Right. And then now the pension fund, they have a duty to manage the fund in such a way that you don't lose out. So they do some investment. But I think what the government does from time to time is to sort of top it up. Not because there's any obligation to do that, but just to ensure that older people are not sort of left out of the equation. But I thought there was a more regular topping up by the government than actually happened.
But we need to the government need to whichever one is there, because it never just happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
They need to manage it properly, invest good. That means that instead of them tapping up, because I don't mind tapping up, but you are tapping up and the people them not getting an increase, because the people them ball. I mean, I don't know if no more ever left the pension of them head.
Yeah.
And they still can't get. And I said on this program, when I said the government no longer need because they can't buy young people.
No, I don't think it's like that.
They're not paying you any attention.
No, remember, no. When you have a pension fund that is being managed, you cannot take too much risk with the money. You have to be very conservative in the way you invest the money, so that
Miss Crooks, we know all of that. But if you don't take 10,000 every 3 months and give some of the people, you end up not get it, and you end up you give some of your political hack them. They show your base. There are other people who are not. They are not PNP, them are not GLP. We're talking pensioners now. They are no P at all. And because some people they come because we can't bet you say they want them to ball out, they might not get on the time that PNP and GLP and they need an increase. So I understand we have to manage it properly, we can't pay out no more. But you know how much I want to tough than rice?
You come back with this.
The tough than rice. Miss Cook, you must not forget about these things.
No, we've not forgot.
They're wrong. And what we do nowadays, we make headline today, and you don't hear nothing more about it.
No.
Nobody is held accountable, because I'm coming to a very important point, you know.
It's a long run up.
So, I mean, because the father carry bad money will come give it, and we don't get good rice from the son. We want good rice. Take a picture.
I don't know how that come into pension. How that come into pension? I don't know how that come in.
Take a picture, because although the rice no good, it's still expensive. The pensioners cannot afford to buy rice.
No, I completely agree. But I think what needs to happen is, comrade, seriously, if we're going to, there's a way in which we are attempting to be a kind of welfare state. And wait. And the welfare state becomes important because of the condition of our people, the more vulnerable. So we kind of have a halfway house. Yeah? In England, for example, if you're not working, you get your allowance weekly, and it has dissuaded thousands upon thousands of people to continue for decades and not work at all. You also have pensioners who are guaranteed an increase above inflation every year because it is built coming from the Thatcher time, almost like a welfare state. The NHS as well. People contribute to the NHS and people get free health care. And now it is in such a state of disrepair that they're saying that if serious financial investment is not made in it, they're going to have to cut it out completely.
Well, Miss Crooks, take England outside, because
it's
England
a comparison.
Has money.
No, they do not.
Crooks, England has enough money, can send billions go to Ukraine. So take England outside. What I am saying,
you know what their debt stock is?
The people here, we're talking about the pensioners of Jamaica. And every time you get to compare to England, they need an increase. And the welfare thing, what them people have practiced, because you have one somebody where they collect 10, we have one book list, but just to give you an example, one book list, and then collect for the one book list 10 times. But whatever money is here, the price will be not. But the important part what I want to make, last year, I think October, November, there was an item of news. There is a young man that is stand accused of murdering a politician. He was out on bail.
In
dropped
Portland?
In Portland.
Mhm.
His mother dropped him off at the courthouse and him disappear. I mean, I said, then don't take control. But at least, I mean, I see no press conference, no press release from Fitz Bailey that this is a high-profile case and people have them suspicion. And when I hear say, okay, we check the airport and with the two airports, so, go through the airport. So we can say, okay, probably left the country on boat or he's still in the country and we are searching for him. We not hear nothing more about it, more than the mother was released, but about a week or two after. Nothing.
What's the
Such
point?
a high profile. My point is,
Yeah.
such a high profile case, this man is accused of murdering a politician. And I don't know if it is because...
But the problem I have...
Let me make the point, Ms. Cook.
No, you're going
Is it
to the
because
politics.
it's a PNP politician?
Don't politicize the force.
Or it's because of the argument that surround his death, why nobody not care. Him have family too.
But this is the problem I have.
One of his brother was my manager. Me still have him number on my phone. He have family too. We want to get some information.
Put some water in your mouth now.
Good.
The problem I have is this.
Pepsi.
No. Too much sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And your little maga foot them can't manage. Listen.
The rice no better.
Rice worse. So you need to eat grown provisions.
Tell tough than that. Get to the point.
I don't tough than make you buy rice. The point I'm making is there have been so many people murdered since Dr. Bloomfield.
Mm-hmm.
Hundreds, thousands even. And it is not all of them that press conferences are held. So when you come here and single that out, it is not fair to the police force.
Miss Crooks.
Not fair.
The Chinese down Green Island or wherever them kill. The police say that is a priority. That's a Chinese. We are talking about a sitting member of parliament who was murdered. And you don't think it is a priority to tell the country that when I filed this shit and the person was out on bail because the man was stone crusher. Not so why gang up a send catching
I don't know the gangs, that is you.
Clansman?
Sort them out.
Because we don't hear anything from Fitz Bailey. We don't know if the young man left the country or is still here. And everybody know the arguments that were swirling out there when the man dead.
I don't know what arguments you're talking about.
It's a politician, Miss Cook.
No, I think you're missing the point. The point is that it's a sitting politician. The police did all they could to find evidence to charge somebody. It so happens that the person who has been charged left custody and has not been seen. So they did what they could to find the person who is accused of the murder. So I don't know where you blame them for. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I hope you see the man and his wife again who says him want meet me. Me well want meet him.
I wonder how much what's my friend walking shop.
Me well want meet him. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much for joining us. Look forward to having your company again next week, God willing. Take good care. Kimberly Wright, Broderick, my producer. Wine, my X and Y, Daniel Thompson. Have a great weekend.